So what if we just let the space, the pause of silence, not need to be filled, not need to be filled for the sake of filling it. If we don't need to fill our time and our lived experience just for the sake of filling it. What if we honor the resting, the pause, the quietness, the silence as having incredibly profound value? What if we realize that we can drink the nectar when we are resting, truly resting? And as we come to recognize what resting truly is, we can be resting in the presence of being, even when we are moving around. And as we come to really recognize and find a rootedness in presence, that we can be moving and living the whole life experience without leaving the anchored rootedness of presence, the sanctuary of knowing the truth of the heart, knowing the field of silent presence that just always is, as itself, always the same. We can be so wired to, conditioned to, be constantly looking in the play of experience for answers, for ways of solving, for trying to understand, to process, with a goal of trying to get somewhere. And often that getting somewhere is about making myself feel better, making this moment be a better moment, either filling it with something different, filling it with more things, or trying to change it. When we come to recognize the power and value of resting as the field of presence, we realize that the only place, we could say, that we find answers is in the field of presence, the field of pure consciousness that is pure intelligence. And the intelligence isn't offering us answers in the way that the mind might be looking for answers, but it offers us a sanctuary where insight comes, where recalibration happens, where reorganization and repatterning happens, that reconfigures the field so that we can see clearly what is actually happening and not be caught in the mind's idea of what I think is happening. It can be quite astonishing to realize how so much of the life we are seeing through filters. We're creating it through filters and we're seeing it through filters. And life is really inviting us to be one with life. And when we are one with life, we are creator. We are the intelligence of creation. And it allows us to take a responsibility for our creation. And never on the level of, oh, poor me, what on earth am I creating all this really hard stuff for? Or what is wrong with me that I'm creating these challenging things? It's not on this level. It's the recognition that the co-creation is a force of love, a force of grace that is constantly offering us out of consciousness the highest possibility for our evolution, in the sense of the human consciousness evolving to realize its true nature as pure consciousness, as pure intelligence, as love, as divine, as innocent. Everything about the life is conspiring with itself as a constant love note to bring about the kind of shifting and changing that our hearts long for. But when our mind is looking for those shifts and changes in the world, We can feel constantly disappointed because we're running around, filling the space with things and ideas and concepts and trying to learn new things. And we're missing the grace and glory of our own intelligence. We're missing the grace and glory of what it actually means to be a child of God and what we are already truly equipped with, what we are already wired for. That we have, in our lived experience, come into a kind of conditioning which is a deep protection of feeling that we are separate and divided from God, from the glory, from love itself. And when we say the word God, we also want to just bring a little side note that says we're not speaking of the conceptual ideas of what God is through religion and dogma. We're speaking of what God truly is as the all that is. Because every problem in our life, every problem in the seeming world is rooted in a division from God, a division from the One, a division from the innocence and the beauty and the grace of the frequency of the One. Everything that's arising as discordance or a problem or a conflict or a war or anything that feels to be evil or hard or intense or challenging is all arising out of the belief in division, is all arising out of fear, all of it, without question. And so, if we're trying to fix the problems on the surface of life at the same frequency at which they are being created, of course we're going to be chasing our tails. The only way that we can shift, and we could say bring resolve, is by shifting our perspective of seeing, and by being a living frequency that sees clearly and is a reverberant field of love, and is seeing from a true perspective that then stops adding to the seeming problem, right? Because as long as we're moving in division, we are adding to, we are conspiring with, we are making allegiance with. And of course, all of that is innocent because it's our learned protective way. But perhaps in that we can bring an incredible compassion for the ways that the human has learned to protect and move from conditioning. And that every being on a certain level is doing their best. However we might judge their best. Every being is trying to live a life according to their laws of nature, according to their wounding, their trauma, their conditionings, the circumstances, the karmas that they are here to work with, right? So karma is not personal. We don't come in with our own karmas. We don't come in. There's no personal self ever anywhere. Even in a multi-lifetime trajectory, it's not a personal lifetime, multi-lifetime trajectory. It's a collective multi-lifetime trajectory. Because there is no individual separate one. The mind believes there's an individual separate one. But essentially, as a soul becomes incarnate and enters into a human life, the laws of nature will pick up an assignment. The soul will pick up an assignment according to the evolution of consciousness and what portion of the human condition that soul, we could say, has the capacity to be with and work out, and the life will then unfold according to the capacity that the soul has in this life and what the soul in this life has the potential for. So this is really important because it also means that we're not looking to all of the things that I've done wrong in past lives, or all of the like I'm trying to kind of pay off a debt or something. The debt is a collective debt, we could say. And the debt is just the delusion of separation. It's a delusion of separation. And if we actually just see the big picture of the human condition and the human play, and that the only problem is the division from God and glory from love, the only problem in the human condition is the condition, right? The human is not the problem. The condition is the seeming problem. And so, in a way, our lived experience is about removing the conditions. And we have a unique assignment to remove the conditions as much as we are able in this lifetime. It's a divine setup, and it's an offering to the whole, always operating as part of the whole. Nothing is personal. There is no personal. And when we come to kind of touch into the sense of the one, of course there can't be personal, right? There's unique, absolutely there's unique. We are unique flowers in God's garden, but it's not personal and divided. We're not here with a personal mission, that I'm here as an island all by myself alone, needing to work these things out. And that's why when we stop moving in the protective ways of independence and self-reliance that keeps us divided and feeling like I've got to figure this out alone, and I am alone, when we actually allow the frequency of our life to merge back into the wholeness, where we are one with the divine, and then we receive nourishment from the divine, we receive support and guidance and all the flow of grace from the divine. We stop the protective, conditioned mechanism of trying to control fear of our lack and deficiency being revealed, fear of having to meet the shame and guilt that's so deep and chronic, right, in the human condition, that we're constantly being invited to actually free ourselves from everything that holds us captive, and that holds us captive on the level of the mind and what the mind believes and has learned and has, the learned behaviors and limiting beliefs and ways of protecting. And in a way, when we come to see that, wow, this human life isn't like a private, secret mission where I'm just swimming in my shame and guilt and all of the things that I think are wrong with me. And I realize that everyone in the human condition is swimming in their own guilt and belief that there's something wrong with me, that there's something wrong with the world. I've done something wrong. I'm being punished. I've been rejected. I've been divided. I've been thrown out of heaven, and I'm a sinner. And I don't dare believe that I belong to God. I don't dare believe that I'm lovable and worthy of the glory. But the question is, how could we not be? How could we not be, right? It's like a mother births a child, and the child always has been birthed by the mother, right? The child is always a child of what it has been birthed by. Whatever happens in the play, that connection is always there. And we could say on that level it's an unconditional connection, because whatever the emotionality, whatever the conditioned emotions or play of relationship are, there's an unconditional connection. And our unconditional connection as a human is to that we are born of, right? So we're not born as a beginning in the way that we think we've been born, but we are created as an expression of the divine. We are wired as a child of God. We are made in the likeness, and we are here as a force of love. We are here as the power of love, and we're here to work out the knowing that I have in this heart that of what I belong to, of what I am. Like we do, even underneath all of the shame and the guilt and the ways that we make ourselves wrong, there's something in us that does know And if we dare to connect to what our heart knows, we generally will start seeking in this lifetime. The truth is that what we're seeking for can be found in an instant, boom. If we go into where the impulse to seek comes from, if we come to the source of the impulse, if we turn to where is that impulse, like what is that? We would find ourselves one with the source. We can do it now. It's never too late, right? Because what we are, where we said that we are not born as a beginning, we are eternal being. And an eternal being is life eternal, living itself, never ending, never beginning and never ending, even through the play of a human life that seems to be born and seems to die. Eternal life is just living itself. It just takes up residence in a body for a while and dances around on the surface of life. And when the body finishes its unique experience as a human being, the body drops and life is still eternal life. So in a way, this glorious divine mission of a human life is to realize the eternal life that we are, to release the conditions by recognizing, so cognizing as the intelligence that we are, not learning something new, but recognizing, coming back to true cognition, where we're drawing from the intelligence of the all that is, instead of a limited library of the mind, just of what we've picked up in this lifetime, right? We're drawing from the intelligence that gives us all the wisdom and deep knowledge of our very own self, of our true essence nature. And in that we're equipped with the capacity to see through the conditionings and the ways that we hold ourselves in a personal sense that is divided and separate from God and glory and love. And we're not being invited, right? So what can happen is that the mind can hear this and say, oh, I have to be the fullness of that right now, or I'm failing. Because it's part of the setup of the human condition to kind of set ourselves up for failure, to feel like we're lacking and we're never going to get it. And oh, if I'm not giving my 100% to this right now, then I'm worthless, right? We have all of these ways of just putting ourselves down constantly and not truly honoring what it is to live this human experience, the wildness, the craziness, the intensity, the fragility, the vulnerability, the experience of life without a map. Or let's say that we are the map, but we learn to look for a map out there, when the truth is that the map is in our own heart. But we've lost connection to our own heart, where the mapping is, where the mapping to God and glory is, because the heart knows I'm a child of God. Oh yeah, I'm a child of God. That make no mistake. That is a known in the heart. And that's why we feel in the ways that we do. We have very different ways of feeling, like a devotion, a connection, a knowing. But ultimately, it's a deep sense of the heart's true knowing that I belong to something greater than just this mind-body. I belong to something, a bigger nature, a larger nature, to love, to whatever it is I feel a kind of devotion or a sense of is greater than me. I know somehow, right? And we can have been having this sense for a lifetime, because we never lose connection fully with this. The masking, the veiling can feel like it's very thick, and yet we never truly lose full connection. And in a way, that's where we are equipped, that if we follow the intelligence of where the knowing is, but part of the setup is that we somehow have lost our trust in our own intelligence. We've lost trust in following our heart, being connected to the true, deep, intuitive knowing of the heart. And so in a way, what we are up to here, what we're sharing here is a graced and glorious invitation to reconnect to the true intuition of the heart, to find that intuition by resting in the field of presence, where we're not looking for anything outside of ourselves, but we're reconnecting to the divine design of our consciousness. We're reconnecting and recalibrating our lived experience to the divine patterning and blueprint of the child of God, so that we start moving and living from the truth of who we are and what we are and what we are made of. And we start recalibrating the life. And we're not expected in the play of time and space to just boom, have a clear seeing and then it's done. It's not how it works. A clear seeing and opening will accelerate our capacity to move truly and receive the guidance and grace and support of the divine. But the setup of the divine design for a human life is that living life living itself is the way. Life is the way, right? The living of life is the way. So the living of life is never wrong. Living of life is the means that life itself as an intelligence, as a consciousness has to recalibrate and reorganize itself. And in a way we could say then the whole play of the collective human life is living itself and recalibrating itself. It's serving itself. It's one whole moving within itself. And in a way, our little piece of the action is exactly the way that life has been calibrated for us out of our own consciousness, which is one with the one consciousness. And it's to come into a kind of intimacy with the adventure that we are having as a divine adventure. It's not personal. It's unique. It's wildly, profoundly unique. And we're actually being invited to come back into connection with our intuitive knowing, back into connection with divine guidance and the source where we're truly nourished and resourced. We're resourced in a way that allows us and gives us the capacity to live this life as life itself, as the presence, as the field of being, where we are being equipped with the knowing that one of the most precious tools that we have in our toolbox is silence, is stillness, because this is what connects us to presence and to source. So when we fill that silence with nonsense, when we fill the silence, when we fill the pauses with things and make ourselves too busy, we're missing the graced opportunity to actually use the sharpest tool in the toolbox to bring us to the freedom that we are longing for, right? That silence is our superpower. And it's the grace that we've been given that allows us to recognize and connect to the source, to connect to the grace and the glory, to connect to the transmission field where we actually receive the nourishment, the messaging as intelligence. As we connect here, we're not connecting in a way that divides us away from life. We're actually connecting to a quality of being resourced for life, which is divine and deep insight and reorganization. And it actually then drives our action. Because we could say that I am not the doer, but the divine is the only doer. So when we are recalibrated to be nourished from source, life is moved by the divine. And we realize, well, I'm not the doer of this, but we're not sort of abstract and transcended away from life. We're fully engaged as a flow of life that's divinely sourced and resourced and flowing as a flow of life. And in a way, the guidance and the grace is a sense that we just know how to move. If we have a sense of needing to make a choice, we just stop and we rest and we just see which direction we go in. Oh, okay, sure. Or we might just look back and say, wow, I didn't really plan any of that, but that was masterful. That was a plan that I could not have dreamt up. The divine has quite clearly put all of these things in place. You see, so we're speaking about it not being personal, very important, because it's not personal. And what we mean by that is not like transcending or getting away from the sense of the personal or the person, but realizing that we're not alone. When we say it's not personal, we're saying you're not alone. Intrepid traveler on the earth plane, you're not alone. It's not personal doesn't mean, oh my God, I've got to get away from the personal and I've got to just be really impersonal and never say me, never say I, right? The way that when people get immersed in early stages of non-duality, I better not use any pronouns, otherwise they'll catch me that I'm not really awake, right? It's like, no, we're not trying to be like, oh, no one here, nothing here, nobody here. But it's like what we're saying is, you don't exist without God. You belong to God. And when you know that you exist in God as a child of God, you're absolutely willing to be in the celebration and take up all the space of being a unique flower in God's garden. But you realize, and I'm not here alone. I'm not doing this alone. That it's not personal isn't an invitation to become like a cardboard cutout of a human. It's an invitation to realize that I belong to the one, and therefore I am absolutely resourced, like all of the resources of this human life are mine. I'm not over here in the lack of resources deficient scarcity poor corner. All of the resources of this glorious plane of existence are mine. I have access to everything. I have access to the whole field of intelligence. I have access to all the wisdom, to the resources. And we stop living in scarcity and lack and believing that I'm an island and I need to hold on to everything for myself because, well, the day might come where I have to kind of go diving into, my underground storage and find those kind of bags of rice that I've stashed 25 years ago. Because, the world might go to pot and I'll need to take care of me, right? Do you notice that when there's any kind of situation that happens in a community or in the world, that actually what happens is that it brings people together, right? It brings people into community. Because this is the true way, is not to be doing this alone. It's about sharing resources. It's about taking care of one another. It's not about having a small number that have the majority of the pie and then a large number that have one slice to share, like one breadcrumb each, right? You might get a bit of crust. If you're lucky, you might get a little bit of sweet, fruity deliciousness, but that all depends upon your karma or something, right? And then, the small number of the seeming human population are kind of just eating pie whenever they want. We can be in the kind of sense of like the unfairness of that, the unworthiness to belong to that, or those beings are kind of dangerous, bad beings because they've got lots of pie and I've got no pie, and I don't like those ones that have got so much pie. But it's like, what if their pie is your pie, and all it is about dropping all the ideas that I've got no pie and just saying, hey, Could I have a piece of your pie? Right? And energetically, as a frequency, you start inviting more pie into your life. You're going to find that you're not hungry for pie anymore, because there's enough for everyone. This is a flow of abundance. And the frequency that we're creating out of is where the flow of resources comes from. When we are being resourced from source, using the great resource we've been given of silent resting, of being, of the presence, of connection, of divine guidance. Show me great glory. Give me insight. Point me in the right direction. Show me what I'm not seeing. Boom. Wow. 25 years of feeling like I couldn't quite get to the bottom of that, and all I needed to do was ask. Yeah. Right? And it's about reconnecting, recognizing through the intelligence that we are made of what we truly belong to. Because then also we stop needing to belong to the tribe. We stop needing to be seen. We stop trying to fit into the world that feels to be discordant. And let's say what happens there is that we stop trying to make another soup of life out of the same ingredients, right? If we're just sitting with our limited ingredients, and we're like, every day, we're like, okay, I'm going to create a soup of life today, but these are my limited ingredients. It's like, of course we're going to just keep making the same thing, and it's going to keep repeating, right? But if we realize, well, when I connect to source, I'm nourished. It's like I'm given a whole bunch of new ingredients. And now today, I've got new ingredients, and the concoction of soup of life for this day can be something different. So then the karma isn't just continuing to repeat, and we're not stuck in a sense of like, whoa, what shall I have today? What will life be today? Oh, it's going to be the same. Ooh, what about today? What kind of soup shall I make of life today? Oh, just the same ingredients. I'll just make the same soup, right? That play of cause and effect, that play of like, well, I'm limited, so my life is going to be limited, so it's going to be hard, things are going to be challenging, and we're speaking at a frequency level. This is how we're creating. This is just how it's going to be. This is just the way it is for me. But when we open to the full glory of the field of presence and we start being resourced, there's more spaciousness for recalibration and repatterning of the ways that we make ourselves wrong, the shame, the guilt. We come into more of a sense of togetherness, of feeling supported, of feeling like, well, maybe I don't have to just keep doing the same thing, repeating the same thing. Maybe I can open up the space. And of course, this is what we're speaking now is about how we collapse the play of cause and effect, and we collapse the karma by not expecting for things to just be the same. Not expecting, well, this is just my wounding. This is just, this is just the way my life is. And we open up to the field of infinite possibility where in the stillness, the silence, the presence of being, we can be resourced and reconnect to the divine. And when we reconnect to the divine, we get activated, like the consciousness that is already wired in us. We could say consciousness as a human consciousness is wired to know its divinity. It's already set up. And all that we have to do, makes it sound easy, I know, but maybe it is. All that we have to do is open to the activations that can activate the dormant consciousness, the coding in our consciousness of light to flow, which is the awakening of consciousness to itself, so that we have more capacity of flow happening, more intelligence flowing. We're being informed in greater ways, and we start to realize, well, there's a greater wisdom here. There's insight, there's a seeing, there's a knowledge that isn't mental knowledge. It's not learned in books. It's the flow of intelligence. And as consciousness opens to itself and recognizes itself as intelligence, as light, as wisdom, then our lived experience, of course, is attuned to that. And we realize, well, I'm not the mind-body as a divided one. I am the flow of life, of consciousness, of pure intelligence, taking up residence and animating this body-mind. And now what is animating this body-mind is cosmic, universal intelligence. It's not limited. It's not recycling the same ingredients, right? It's suddenly making a glorious soup of life out of the resources of the all that is, right? So as these words are coming, notice where it's resonating in the intelligence of your heart's knowing, where you feel enlivened, where you feel like, oh yeah. And it might feel like, well, yeah, that makes sense. Or it might feel like, yeah, that's obvious, right? And what's happening is you're not learning something new. You're attuning to what your heart already knows, reconnecting to your intuitive knowing, reconnecting to the intelligence that you are, right? Reconnecting to yourself, right? Where we speak of the one self, the true nature. It's not like there's a part of us that is false, but the belief is false. The belief in division is false. We are glorious. Every fiber and atom and cell of our being is miraculous, glorious life. And really what life is inviting is that we start to come into full functioning, full capacity functioning, that we start to kind of open up to the grace and glory, that we allow our posture, right, to come online as if we're being pulled up by the top of our head, because the light is connected to the divine, and we're being pulled up, so suddenly we're kind of upright in a way of worthiness, of taking our place as a human being, as an expression of the divine, instead of that kind of guilt, shame, burdened kind of, oh God, it's so hard to be me. I don't even really want to be here. Who brought me here in the first place, right? Take me home to the light. And it's like, it's that sense of like, okay, here, I'm home in the light. I feel the connection of what I belong to, of what I truly am. And instead of Googling to find, what planet of its starseed you are, where you truly come from, and being like, oh, putting on the persona of, oh, I'm a Palladian, actually. I'm reincarnated, and trying to take on a persona of some kind of divine being. You just take your place right here as a being of light. You just take your place right here. And you let the light that you are start to inhabit your flesh and your cells, and start to rejuvenate the body, starts to be able to shift the consciousness of the body from even where there's disease and discordance in the body. There's the possibility of rejuvenation and reorganization and repatterning, right? We just open to be resourced in a way where we're not confining ourselves by our beliefs, by our limitations, and we're not confining ourselves by what we're being told by the limited soup of the collective consciousness of the world. Oh, this is what's going on for you. Oh, well, then the cause and effect is, this is my outcome, right? This is what's wrong with you, so this is my outcome, right? And we just start being like a human snowball rolling down the hill of despair, right? It's like, no, No, I will not take it lying down, right? I will connect to source. I will be resourced, and I won't let my beliefs and limited knowledge label me, put me in a box, right? As soon as we put ourselves in a box, we're kind of heading for the ending, right? We're forgetting that we're eternal beings of light, right? So we don't need to create divine personas. We don't need to create stories about past lives and the great things that we've done. We just be yourself right now. You are great. You are glorious. You are good. You are intelligence pure. You are light divine. You are beauty. You are wonder. You are glory. It's your true nature right now. So we don't have to create personas, wear costumes, try to be seen. We just live it as a frequency, right? This is the invitation that we're being given, is to take your place. Take your place as a child of God. Take your place and be yourself. To be yourself is to be the one that you are uniquely here to be. And that we only have the courage to truly flower when our roots are in the soil of unified knowing, right? When we're rooted in the knowing of unity, of our belonging to God and the frequency of the one, we have a kind of confidence and a certainty of what we belong to, where our shame and our guilt can be illuminated through our lived experience, and in a way what we're speaking of is collapsing karmic holding patterns, collapsing timelines, old timelines which are attachments to past and memory and fear that says because it was once like that, it's going to be like that again. Because often what we find is as we are in this glorious evolution into the fullness of our radiant heart, when things come forward to be purified, we feel like, oh no, it's happening again. And we go into fear and we go into that loop. Whereas any time there's discordance or dissonance in the field, it's actually releasing. It's always releasing. And if we can hold it as the light, as the love that allows the releasing to happen, then the releasing will happen, and the past and the timeline of past that we're attached to, we're sewn into, will collapse. And that whole karmic landscape collapses, and a repatterning happens in our lived experience. But because karma is not personal, it also happens in the collective human consciousness. Everything that we collapse in our unique experience collapses for the whole, right? It's always one unified unfolding that is happening. The sense that we will have of, when we are feeling like we're separate and divided, we will feel like it's personal and it's happening to me. And that's okay, because that's how it feels, and it feels true and real. But if we honor that, and let's say we don't make that wrong, but we include that, okay, I'm having the experience that it's personal. I'm having the experience of a kind of contraction into the personal. But if I know in my heart, but this is not personal, then I have a little space, a light that says, yeah, bring that to the light. Open, feel it. Feel the personal, feel it, include it, let it be included. Be the love that says, that experience is welcome here. You're not trying to push that away and make that wrong. We're including that, because when we include that, the lived experience starts to feel as if it's expanding beyond the limitation, right? So, what are you noticing? Just to feel the attunement, the enlivening of the intelligence of the field, where you recognize, where you are the intelligence that is recognizing and recognizing a deeper truth to for yourself. That you're not limited, you're not deficient, you're not lacking, you're not scarce. You belong to the one. You can eat pie, you can share pie, you can just live a life of pie, right? You can just live as in the fullness of being fully resourced. And we can maybe just feel like a touching into how we spoke in the beginning of that we're here to release the conditions that there seem to be on the life. Not to be bound by the conditions like, oh, no, I'm stuck here. It's like, no, I'm not. I am the power. When I'm resourced from source, I am the power to release the conditions that seem to be here in the life, because the conditioning is learned. The conditioning is learned, and there's the power of love, of truth, that will illuminate that the conditions are not actually binding in any way. However powerful the fear seems to be, however powerful limitation seems to be, it holds no power in the presence of love, in the presence of light. And ultimately, everything that seems to be binding, if we ask everything that seems to be limiting, fearful, if we ask every delusion, what do you truly want, beloved? What do you truly want? Every fiber and cell of our being will say freedom, love, wholeness, belonging, truth, grace, God, whatever the word is. Every single fiber of our being that feels to be deficient and lacking is longing to find the fullness. And the only reason those places are longing for that, or that's what they're wanting, is because in essence all of those places already are that truth. They wouldn't even know, right? We wouldn't know about it if it wasn't already somewhere in our field of cognition. And that field of cognition is the field of truth. It's the living Veda. It's the wholeness of the intelligence. It's the wisdom of the universe. And we have access to this wisdom when we are resting.